Welcome back to the deep dive. Typically when we fire up the mics, we come in hot.
Yeah, we really do.
We've got the charts, the tech trends, all the optimization strategies that are supposed to make your external life run like a Swiss watch.
And we love that stuff.
We do. But today the energy is different. We're sort of flipping the camera lens around. We aren't looking at the world out there. We're looking at the person who's, living in it.
It's a big shift. We're stepping away from the data sets and walking into something, well, something much more nebulous. And frankly, much more important.
What's that?
The human experience of transformation. And not the glossy before and after photo kind.
No.
We're talking about the messy middle.
Exactly. We are doing a deep dive into a piece of writing called The Architecture of Ruin and Resurrection.
Right.
And I just want to set the expectation now. This is not a manual. It's not 5 steps to crush your goals.
No, the source is very clear on that. It's a journey.
It is. The author calls it a journey of the excavation.
Excavation. That is such a deliberate word. It implies digging.
Dirt.
Yeah, dirt. It implies that the thing you're looking for it's already there. It's just buried under a lot of really heavy stuff.
It's a 10-chapter narrative about tearing down a life that looks perfect on the outside just to find the actual human being buried underneath all that rubble.
So this is a safe space today.
It is. We're going to talk about the pain of starting over, but also the weird, terrifying beauty of it. If you're listening and you feel like, I don't know, you're just going through the motions.
Or if everything looks great on paper but just feels wrong inside.
Then this deep dive is basically a mirror.
It really is. It's a roadmap for that impossible choice a lot of us face but are too afraid to even name.
So let's honor the structure. Let's walk through these 10 chapters chronologically.
Let's do it.
Okay. Chapter 1 is called The Comfortable Cage. And the author opens with a quote that, it just stopped me cold.
I know the one.
They write, "I had everything I was supposed to want, and it was killing me in a language no one else could hear."
That phrase, killing me in a language no one else could hear.
It's so clinically precise.
It is, because it speaks to this very specific type of isolation. We call it normative success. You have checked every single box that society handed you.
The career, the partner, the house.
All of it. The stability.
Yeah.
But if you're miserable in a bad situation, like you're broke or something, people get it.
Right. They know the script. They rush in with sympathy.
Exactly. External failure has a social language. We know how to comfort it. But internal failure, in the middle of external success.
That's silent.
It is. If you try to talk about it, you feel like you're breaking some kind of social contract. You're in the VIP lounge of life. You're not supposed to complain.
So you're suffering in a way that just looks like ingratitude to everyone else.
It creates this soundproof glass effect. You're screaming, but on the other side of the glass, people just see you waving from your nice car.
They think you're thriving.
And that's why the author calls it a cage. A cage keeps you contained. But the comfortable part,
yeah,
that's the lock.
Because it's safe, it's warm, everyone admires it. Leaving seems like madness.
The psychological cost of leaving is astronomical. You aren't running from danger. You're running toward uncertainty.
And you're doing it alone because no one else hears that language.
I think a lot of people are trapped in their own comfortable cages right now.
I think so too. Just waiting for permission to admit the door is locked. Which brings us to the moment that permission finally arrives. Chapter 2.
The first crack.
Yeah.
The quote here is, "The breaking point wasn't when things got bad. It was when I realized I'd built a beautiful life for someone I was pretending to be."
See, this isn't about a tragedy, is it?
Yeah, not at all.
And that is such a crucial distinction. We think hitting rock bottom has to be this big cinematic thing.
A bankruptcy, an affair.
Some huge crisis. But here, the crack is quiet. It's cognitive. It's an identity crisis. In the truest sense. I built a beautiful life for someone I was pretending to be. Just saying that sounds exhausting.
It is the ultimate exhaustion. Psychologists call it performative identity. It's when you spend years, decades even, constructing a persona.
To fit a job or a family or a relationship.
Yeah, you curate this version of yourself. But eventually the gap between who you are and who you perform, it just becomes too wide.
And the crack isn't the structure failing.
No, it's the light getting in. The light that shows you that gap.
So it's not, I hate this job. It's more like, I hate who I have to become every day to do this job.
Precisely. It's looking at the entire blueprint of your life and realizing, wait a minute, this house, it wasn't designed for me.
And once you see that, you can't unsee it, can you?
You can't. You can't just go back to rearranging the furniture. You have to look at the
Yeah,
foundation.
and that is terrifying.
It is. Because now you have to make a choice. And that takes us right into chapter 3, the fear.
This quote is heavy. I knew staying would slowly erase me. I knew leaving would destroy everything I'd built. I chose the destruction I could survive.
Oof. I chose the destruction I could survive. Let's just sit with that for a second.
It's the ultimate cost-benefit analysis.
It is.
But it sounds so extreme, doesn't it? Staying would erase me.
I think it's completely fair. Think about erasure as a kind of a spiritual death, an atrophy.
Yeah.
If you stay in the cage, the real you, that part of you, it eventually stops knocking on the glass.
It just goes to sleep, it fades.
That's a death. A slow, quiet one, but it is a death.
Versus the destruction of leaving, which is loud. It's the death of your lifestyle, your status, maybe your bank account.
Exactly. So you have two types of destruction on the table. One is slow and internal erasure. The other is loud and external. And the author is saying, I can survive the external mess. I can rebuild a bank account. I can't survive the internal one.
That really hits home. It completely reframes quitting. We usually see walking away as weakness, as giving up.
But here it's an amputation.
You cut off the limb to save the body.
It's a survival instinct.
Yeah.
It is an act of violent self-preservation.
Mm.
But to the outside world,
Who can't hear that internal language?
to them, it looks like you've lost your mind.
Which brings us to chapter 4, the first blow, the quote. So I took the sledgehammer to my carefully curated life, and everyone called it a breakdown. I called it excavation.
I love this. Breakdown versus excavation.
What's the real difference there? I mean, visually, they look the same. Walls are coming down.
The difference is agency. It's intentionality. A breakdown is something that happens to you. It implies the structure just collapsed.
It frames you as a victim.
It does. But excavation, that's work. It's purposeful digging. You're breaking the concrete not to destroy the floor.
That because you know there's something valuable buried underneath it.
Yes, something ancient and true that you need to get back.
So while the world sees you smashing windows and thinks you're crazy,
You know, you're actually an archaeologist. You're digging for the original self, the you that existed before you started layering on all the shoulds and supposed toulds.
but let's be real, at first the result is the same. You're just standing in a mess.
Oh, it's a disaster zone. Dust everywhere. Which is chapter 5, the rubble.
The quote is, "In the wreckage of everything I used to be, I found pieces of myself I'd buried to fit their blueprints."
And this is the paradox of self-discovery, right? We think we need to add things to ourselves to grow.
Get a degree, learn a new skill, add a habit.
Right. This model argues for subtraction. You have to remove the debris to find what was there all along.
It says we find pieces we buried to fit their blueprints. That implies we did this to ourselves.
We all do it. Think about it. Maybe you were naturally creative, but you buried it to be professional for a corporate job.
Or you were sensitive, so you buried it to seem tough.
Exactly. We poured concrete over those parts of ourselves to build a stable foundation everyone told us we needed.
So the rubble phase isn't just cleaning up, it's an inventory.
It's an inventory.
Yeah.
You're standing there in the dust, coughing, holding these little artifacts of your personality going, oh, I remember this. I remember liking this part of me. I haven't seen this in 20 years.
But you are still standing in rubble. You haven't built the new house yet. Which brings up a feeling we don't usually associate with freedom.
Grief.
Chapter 6. The grief. The quote. I mourned the life I destroyed, even though it was the same life that was destroying me. Loss is loss, even when it sets you free.
This is where so many people get stuck. We live in this culture of, like, toxic positivity that says if you make the right choice, you should feel instant euphoria.
Right. The movie ends the second you walk out the door. Cue the upbeat music. You're not supposed to be crying in the car 5 minutes later.
But reality doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
And the text here validates this really complex emotion. You can miss the cage.
The cage was predictable.
You knew where the walls were. You knew when you'd get fed. The open wild it's terrifying. And you spent years decorating that cage.
All that time and energy.
It's the sunk cost fallacy, but for your emotions. You have to mourn the safety. And the insight here is that the grief is valid. You have to have the funeral for the version of you that lived in the cage.
And while you're having that funeral in the ashes, the audience is still watching. And they have opinions.
They always do. Chapter 7, the judgment.
The quote, "They watched me burn it all down and said I was reckless. They never asked why I was willing to live in ashes rather than that palace."
Palace versus ashes. A classic conflict of perspective.
Why do people get so angry, so critical, when someone else makes a big life change?
It is almost always a projection of their own fear. If I see you walk away from a palace, a high-status job, a perfect-looking marriage, and I see you sitting in the ashes, but you seem happier,
That's threatening.
that's deeply threatening. Because it makes them ask, well, why am I still in my palace if I'm miserable? Your freedom holds a mirror up to their captivity.
So they call you reckless because the alternative is to admit that maybe they're cowardly.
Exactly. It's the crab bucket mentality.
Yeah.
But for the person in the ashes, there is a clarity. The ashes are dirty, sure, but they are real.
The palace was an illusion.
And the pressure is gone.
So the fire is out, the critics have gone home, you're sitting in the dirt with your excavated self. Now what?
Now comes the hardest part. You build.
Chapter 8. The reconstruction. The quote. I stopped trying to rebuild what broke. I started building what never existed, a life that fit the person I'd been too afraid to become.
This is the pivot. From restoration to creation.
Yeah.
It's a trap so many of us fall into. We try to use the old blueprints for the new house.
We try to get back to normal.
Right. We think, okay, I left the toxic job, so I'll just get another job that looks exactly the same but pays 10% more. That's restoration. That's gluing the vase back together.
But the author says, building what never existed.
You have to design a new structure around the excavated self, that person you found in the rubble. And since that person has never really been allowed to lead before, you have no template. You are winging it.
That sounds so vulnerable. You're building without a safety net, without a model.
You are, but the structural integrity is better because it's honest. It's built on bedrock, not on sand.
But to do that, to really build something new, you have to let go of the old builder, right?
You do. You can't let the old project manager run the new job site. Which brings us to Chapter 9.
The transformation. And this quote is, it's visceral. The old version of me died in that fire. Good. She was suffocating anyway, and corpses make terrible architects.
Corpses make terrible architects. That is the line of the entire text for me.
It's morbid, but it makes the point perfectly.
It's about the psychology of the past self. We try to drag our old selves into our new lives. We want the new freedom, but we want to keep the old people-pleasing habits.
It's like trying to wear clothes from high school. They don't fit. You look ridiculous trying to squeeze into them.
It's more than that. The mindset that built the cage cannot be the mindset that builds the sanctuary. The corpse, that fear-driven, validation-seeking version of you, is not qualified to run this construction site.
You have to fire your old self.
You have to bury them. With gratitude, maybe? Say, thank you for getting me this far. You survived. But they cannot come where you are going.
So, you've done the excavation, endured the grief, ignored the judgment, buried the old self. What does the new house actually look like?
Chapter 10. The end.
Chapter 10. The liberation. The quote. Now I live in a house built for my own hands, not their expectations. It's smaller, messier, and completely mine. I've never breathed easier.
And there it is. The landing. Notice the adjectives. Smaller. Messier.
That is not the Instagram definition of success. That is not what we're usually sold.
No, usually we want bigger, faster, shinier. But the excavation reveals those things were the problem. The ultimate metric of this journey isn't impressiveness.
It's breathability.
It's breathability. Never breathe easier. Can you breathe in your own life? Is there actual space for you in your own daily routine?
A messy, small life that you spiritually own is infinitely more valuable than a pristine palace where you're just a guest. It's ownership. The difference between staying in a fancy hotel where you can't touch anything and owning a cabin where you can put your feet on the table.
Imperfect, but real. That's the destination.
It is.
It's wild to look back at the arc. We start at Chapter 1 with everything I was supposed to want, maximum external success. And we end it smaller and messier.
It's a process of stripping away, isn't it? We spend the first half of our lives accumulating things, beliefs, habits, expectations, and maybe the second half, or whenever this excavation hits you, is about letting go of everything that isn't essential.
So just taking a step back, what does this mean for someone listening to this right now, on their commute or washing the dishes?
I think it's a call to inspect your foundation. We're constantly being handed blueprints by our parents, by our culture.
And we just start building automatically.
We do. We don't check the soil. We don't check the zoning laws of our own hearts.
Right.
And then you wake up 10 years later in a house you hate.
This deep dive is a reminder that you're allowed to tear it down. You are. You are allowed to grab the sledgehammer. It will be scary. It will look like a breakdown to other people. It will hurt. But if it leads to a place where you can actually breathe,
It's worth the rubble.
It is worth the rubble. And
That
remember, you don't have to burn it all down today. Maybe today is just about chapter 2. Just admitting to the first crack.
Just admitting the cage is uncomfortable.
That honesty is the first swing of the hammer.
It is. Wow. Okay. We should take a beat and let that settle.
Yeah.
We've gone from the comfortable cage to the messy house. It's a huge psychological arc.
It's the arc of becoming human.
I want to leave everyone with a thought to mull over. We talked a lot about blueprints today. So maybe just ask yourself, are you building from your own hands, or are you just the contractor for someone else's expectations?
Mm,
When you look at the life you're constructing, whose fingerprints are on the hammer?
that's the question.
And look, we know this was a heavier deep dive. We usually give you stats and trends, but this stuff, the human stuff, it's the engine that drives everything else.
It is.
So if you're in the middle of your own excavation, know that you aren't alone. It's messy, but you're building something real.
Absolutely. Keep digging.
If this resonated with you, please like the video and subscribe to join our community. We'd honestly love to hear your story in the comments below. Tell us about your rubble. Tell us about your reconstruction.
We read them, and we really appreciate them. We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Take care, everyone.